day of Freyja, or Friday. Wonderful energy, hopefully for you as well as for me today. Um, I always love arriving at Freyja's day. I'm not sure about you. Of course, for those of us, the normal work week here in the United States, of course, Freyja's day, celebrating the end of that work week. So today's the day we're going to start bringing some of that energy back, rejuvenate, recharge, and get ready for next week. Today we're talking about Freyja and the magic and all of the things that she really brought to our understanding as she taught us the magic of certainly of Midgard, and would go on to teach Odin the same magic. Now, in many cases, we talk about the different kinds of magic when speaking of this, but today we're going to turn a little bit and change our perspective just a little to include the full understanding of magic. Before we get started today, I want to make sure that call out New Reality TV at newrealitytv.com. There you will find a collection of guides and perspectives that will hopefully provide you with some level of intellect and understanding that you can use to obtain or maintain your mental space. It's always a wonderful, wonderful gift to have that balance to understand. So hopefully you will check them out. Again, newrealitytv.com. For those of you who have liked, followed, subscribed, talk. For those of you who haven't yet, feel free, please like, follow, subscribe, either our audio platforms here or the video platforms. We could always use more support, and we can always use more of you to sign up and help us to promote us through this magic algorithm of the internet and help us get this distribution. My website, norsewhispers.com, there you can find out all about all the many shows that I do provide, as well as more about me, my message, my teachings, all of those included. And you can also find a place where you can, for those of you who need another ear to bend or another mind to help address some of the challenges that you're facing, you're welcome to visit norsewhispers.com/coaching. And there we can set up a call and start a conversation, hopefully finding you an answer for that which challenges you today. Finally, for those of you who may have a few extra coins, by all means, feel free to drop them in the tip jar. Every little bit helps to promoting and providing our message across the internet and across the world, really. So we visit quite a few places and provide teachings and guidance and wisdom. So by all means, feel free to do that. Welcome, by the way, to Fulfilling Us Belly Sneak. This is the ancestral illumination, and hopefully it provides you with some level of energy or illumination that can help you along your journey. Now, today we're talking about the magic of Freyja. Now, Freyja, for those of you who may not be familiar with her, Freyja, of course, the sister of Freyr, was born a Vanir goddess. She was born to Njord, the sea god, and she was the Vanir badass. She was the goddess of love and a goddess of war. What this means for those of us who have read into it and understand her more thoroughly is that she understood energy. She understood the universal energy. This is why she was able to teach magic, because magic is simply the manipulation of energies on the physical realm to match that of the spiritual realm. That's all it is. So when we speak about magic, magic is all really about moving energy from one place to another to manifest things on this plane. Now, many things can be said about magic, but today what I'd like to talk about is this manipulation of energies. Energy excuse me, energy comes into our body all the time, whether it be as we visualize or hear or smell or taste or touch, our physical reality going on around us, or whether we're actually receiving spiritual energy across our aura. Either way, our form is receiving spiritual energy that we can obviously then use to a multitude of advantages and slash reasons. I have said in the past that when we receive negative energy comes into us and it starts this spiral. It starts this quote unquote death spin of energy inside of us. And this energy spin, as it's rubbing, as it's going, it's actually converting the light energy that's around it. Okay? It's converting that light energy from light to neutral, and neutral ultimately to negative, right? So it's positive energy, you're full of light, and then you get some of this negative energy and it starts spinning, and it's going to start converting that light energy first to neutral and then to negative as it builds. This is why when something occurs in our lives, some event, and it upsets us or it makes us angry or frustrated or whatever, notice how it starts small. It may be a small slight, a perceived slight, and that begins to build and build and build and build until we're angry, until now we have this full-blown frustration or anger or sadness or whatever, and it's just kind of, it's really blown up. Now, this is how negative energy works, is that it's spinning, and it's going to, again, it's going to convert that which it touches from a light energy to a neutral, and then ultimately from a neutral to a negative, building itself as it goes, right? So this little bitty slight, right? Little bitty slight begins to grow and grow and grow until it envelops us, right? And it's not until we put some kind of foot down and we say, no, I don't want that energy. I want to be happy. I want to be positive. Water under the bridge, so to speak, and we move on, right? This is when we're dropping in the opposite, because much like negative energy can grow and grow and grow, light energy can then condense it again, right? Bringing it back to its normal size. This is the energy of hope. Hope and love is opposite of this negative energy because it's light, and it's going to overpower darkness. Now, when many people nowadays on the internet, they use the word meh, right? Meh, for those of us over the age of, say, 18. Meh means normal. It's just, I'm not upset or I'm not excited. I'm just kind of normal, just average, right? This means essentially that there's not a negative and there's not a positive. It's just right there in the middle. It's neutral energy. So I have neutral energy going. So I'm not really charged. I'm not very negative, right? Very important that we understand this, because what that means when we have this kind of attitude towards our existence right now and we're neutral, is that we can easily go to negatives, right? Why? Because we're closer to negative. If we were positive would have to come to neutral and then to negative. Whereas if we're neutral, now we just have to go to negative. So negative energy has more of an effect on us. This is why we see many people in modern day society are not exercising their positivity. They're just neutral. And this neutrality kind of opens them up to falling victim to them becoming negative. Now, the good news is in the same way that we could become negative, can we become positive? And we can go up and be charged, full of love and light. And when we do that, of course, now negative energy won't have an immediate effect on us. We're kind of one step removed from the effects of negative energy. So this is all about managing energy. Intent is when we set our minds to doing one thing or another. Intent. If my intent is to find peace and joy, that's how I'm going to set my mind. And when I do that and I set my mind, my physical sensory input will now feed to that. So all I'll see is that which brings me joy, that which is happy, that which is good, in my opinion. This whole idea of good and bad is simply relative, right? So it's what we think is good or bad may not be good or bad to the next person. So it's all about our perspective. Okay? And that's really where the energy comes from, and that's how our brain interprets this energy that it's receiving from all over. Now, physical sensory input, I'm always saying that physical sensory input brings in energy, right? Well, it does in a way. In other words, it experiences our reality, and when it comes into whichever physical sensory input, it's converted to bioelectricity in the body, right? And then that bioelectricity is transported from whatever input to the brain. This is the energy. And we need to understand this, and here's why. Because that energy is susceptible to being corrupted, to being manipulated. As an example, if we see something that's good, but yet we're surrounded by negative people who are saying negative things, and they have all this negative vibes, and we're really not feeling any happiness. Even if they don't say anything and they have that negative vibes, they have that energy, right? Because they're producing that through their aura. That comes into our brain, and it manipulates what we just saw, right? To meet that criteria. Now, if our brain is already set to a kind of a negative mode, we will see this event as negative. If our event, or our brain, I should say, if our brain is set to positive, then we will see that event, our brain will interpret that event as a positive thing, as happy, joy, right? So that's really a critical element when it comes to mental health. Many of us, unfortunately, I would say more often than not, find ourselves at this point where we are simply neutral. We're not positive, we're not negative, we're simply neutral. So the things that we experience in our lives have a tendency, if they are not aligned perfectly with what we got going on, we can move very quickly from a neutral to a negative. And this then sets our mood that we will then interpret all the experiences after that in a more negative fashion. This then alters our mental space. Now, we've spoken about many times before about how this bandwidth here that we have kind of fills up the bottom with silt. And this silt are these things when we're not living congruently. So when we're not being ourselves because we're having to put on some mask or some costume to meet the perceived societal needs, we're living outside of our congruent, right? And this delta then begins to build up that silt. The more we do it, the more silt we get built up, right? And so the further away, the larger the delta, the larger the silt pile, which then hampers our ability to process trauma, any type of energy, particularly emotional, because emotional has more energy than simply not not emotional. If there's no emotional connection to this event, then it's kind of moot. But if there is the emotional emotional energy, it takes up more of the bandwidth. Now, again, as I said, the more silt we build up, the higher we're going to push that trauma. The higher we push the trauma, we're removing our headspace, we're taking out our cognitive thinking, and therefore we're going to struggle. This is a fact of the way you are. Now, what does this mean? Well, we've talked about before where if we wind up overrunning our frequency tube, I don't know what we want to call it, but if we wind up actually putting in too much trauma, real or imagined, into our processing, you find out that you're going to get some spillage, and it's going to spill outside of that. When it spills outside, you're going to have physical symptoms. This will be the anxiety attacks, the panic attacks, the everything, the fear, all of those things happen, and it can lead to things going wrong with the body, with the physical form. We can start having ulcers and all the health problems that stress causes is when that runs over our frequency tube. We start experiencing health issues. This is obtaining the balance, right? So we always talk about, whenever you speak of spiritual healing and growing, this is what we're doing. We're reestablishing the balance. Your brain, your mind, can actually heal your body. It can use the energy that it has or that it creates to now heal the self. But if we are blocking that because our trauma is overrun, our throughput here is now totally taken up with this real or perceived trauma, we can't send this energy to the physical form. This is where we find out we start getting sick, or different parts of our body start having challenges. Our physical form starts suffering the effects of not having enough energy. This is the same thing you're going to read about or understand for those of you who study the chakra. The chakra, of course, is the center line of the body where energy comes in from the universe into the body, and it hits these several chakras as it passes through us, and these chakras then distribute the energy to the local areas. So, we have crown chakra, we have third eye chakra, throat, heart, solar plexus, and so on and so forth. These chakras then distribute the energy out to those areas, right? And so super important that we recognize that if we're having problems with our solar plexus or our stomach area, this may be that chakra is stuck. Normally they're supposed to spin like a sprinkler, and the center line of energy that's coming down from one chakra to the next is kind of like the hose, and then it hits the chakra and it spreads out, sprinkles the yard, and then in addition there's still another hose that comes out of that sprinkler down to the next chakra. And again, it's distributing energy throughout the body. This is what heals you, right? So your brain, when you take, say you take Tylenol as an example, acetaminophen, and you take the medicine, and the medicine goes into the brain, it's going to help the brain chemically it's going to alter the brain to think the chakras open. And so it's going to distribute then this energy that you have up here down into the body to heal the self. Okay? That's what chemistry does. That's what all the modern medicine does, is that it tricks the brain into thinking, hey, I'll just send this energy. I'll heal. Same thing in anything, all right? Any type of particularly any type of medicine, all right? This is the tool that we heal with, not the medicine, right? And that works for natural remedies as well. I mean, same thing. I mean, all we're doing is we're affecting the brain to then move the proper energy to the right places and get the right things healed. So, as you can tell, there's a lot to know about energy within the body and how the body uses it. Most importantly, how energy can manipulate our mental space and control essentially how effective we are at processing those events and those experiences that we have in this lifetime. Stopping for a moment and thinking about what is our overall objective for being here? Why are we doing this physical lifetime? Right? We're here to learn emotional control, right? Because emotions, i.e., the bundling of energies in such a way, emotion has a major impact on the way we interpret our world. So, emotion can change the way you see something. As an example, if you meet someone out in public and you just run, hey, how are you? Right? A little smile on the face, we've got happiness in our heart. How are you? Notice how you feel. Well, that's because you're receiving energy from them. You're receiving this energy of joy, right? And it's coming across. They're happy to see you. But conversely, if you met somebody in the hallway, and or wherever in public, and they were grumpy and they had that frown on their face and they were kind of they had that war face on, right? What vibes do you get? Most importantly, what energy are you now receiving from that individual? How are you interpreting that? Well, that's all well and good, but now, what if you ran into somebody in the hallway, same situation, but their face was absolutely neutral? No smile, no frown. It's just neutral. Now what? Well, it all depends on what mood you're in, is how you're going to interpret them, right? Because if you're happy and joyful, and you are excited, that's going to come across in this interpretation of our experience. If you, on the same note, are grumpy and maybe got up on the wrong side of the bed, that's going to come across. You're going to see that interaction in that way. So, you can see that emotion controls the way we see our reality. Most importantly, how we interpret our reality. So if we are driving to work and we got up on the wrong side of the bed and we're driving to work and we're already set to grump mode, everything you see from your home to work is going to add to that. It's going to seemingly, yep, that guy's an idiot. He doesn't know how to drive. Oh, that person over there, they're a total loser. You're going to have all of this emotional turmoil on your way to work. Why? Because it's supporting how you've set your emotional filters. Conversely, if you get up on the right side of the bed, it's a wonderful night's sleep, you're up and you're alive and you're living the dream and you're loving it. As you drive to work, you're going to see the beautiful flowers coming up through the ground, the, the, the beautiful parts of this existence. Okay? It's what you're going to see. Why? Because that's how your brain is now programmed to look for. So, as you can see, a lot of the way we think every day is dictated by this energy, by particularly emotional energy, but most energy that we're interfacing and experiencing, whether it be through our physical sensory input or through our spiritual input. Matters not, right? And again, back to whether it's real or perceived energy that we're receiving. Because we can actually trick ourselves into thinking that we're feeling something that we're not. Your brain is a very powerful tool. Sometimes, I remember back when I was a younger man and getting into the business world and trying to get ahead, the age-old saying of "fake it till you make it" was really in my vernacular at that time. And I've come to understand now that that's not bad. Why? Because I'm creating the energy that's going to move me along my career path. Okay? So I'm generating the energy. I'm thereby altering the way my brain experiences reality so that I can move forward in my career. Okay? So that's the idea behind it. And that's a true statement. It's me, my mind, creating the right energy to now move me forward. Super exciting and super important in our mental space. All right. So today we're celebrating the power and the glory of Freyja, the Norse goddess of love and war, who brought magic to Midgard as well as taught Odin to see the magic that he wanted to learn. One thing that Freyja really understood was the power of the universal energy. This is why she could manipulate and magistrate, I guess, magic across the realms. She understood this movement of energy, changing the perspective to accomplish a manifestation of what she wanted. So, super important. And you and I have this same ability. We can manipulate our perspectives, we can change the way we're looking at things, thereby changing the reality at which we experience life, how we're going to grow, how we're going to move through our trajectory. So this Freyja's Day, as you relax after a hard day's work today, I want you to take some time to kind of think about yourself. Whenever we're focused on something, that's where our energy is going. So remember, put yourself in your third eye periodically. Just close your eyes and picture you. Picture you doing something. Maybe it's accomplishing a goal, an objective. Maybe it's, accomplishing something. But put yourself in there. Maybe even healing, right? When you put yourself in your third eye, you're going to move energy that direction. So I want you to take some time to do that this weekend. That way, when we're ready for Monday again, we're ready to go. We've been charged, we're healed, we're ready to go. All right? So, enjoy your weekend. We will see you again on Money's Day when we talk about controlling this energy and bringing it in such a way that it helps us. All right? Love and light, and we will see you again on Money's Day.